Hello class, welcome to the fourth part of our lecture series about the Second Industrial Revolution. Alright, so let's talk about the causes of the Second Industrial Revolution. The people living in North America have always been blessed with the fact that North America has abundant natural resources, meaning it has a lot of natural resources that can be used in industrial development. So when we look at this map, pay particular focus to the blue areas where all the major U.S. cities are. These were where all the major industrial areas were developing during the 1900s. Now, it's not by chance that they developed there. If you look at the map, you can see a little green smudge in the middle of the state of Pennsylvania and the zebra stripes that run through the border of the Appalachian Mountains. These were both iron ore deposits and coal deposits. Both iron and coal were necessary for industrial development in the United States. So this map that we're looking at shows all the major natural gas and oil deposits throughout the United States. When the automobile becomes a very important part of the U.S. economy and transportation, these natural resources become extremely important for the U.S. economy. And although the United States had been dependent on Middle Eastern oil, as you can see that the United States does have plenty of oil or petrol resources that it can use. The second reason that the United States goes through the Second Industrial Revolution is that it has a growing supply of labor, meaning the United States is constantly getting new people who can work in the factories, can work in the cities to help these factory owners and capitalists make money from their work. Okay, so it's important to understand that the United States has always had a steady flow of immigrants coming to find work. If we look at the immigration statistics between the years 1820 to 1860, so right before the Civil War, the major industrial areas, like in northeastern United States, like New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, their population ranged between 10 to 30% being immigrants. So this is a sign that the United States, even before the Civil War, had a growing population of immigrants willing to work in the United States. Now, if we look at this far right corner of this map, you see a pie chart, and this gives us an idea of where the immigrants were coming from. Okay, we usually call this period the first wave of immigration. So during this first wave of immigration, about 40% of the people came from Ireland, about 30% came from Germany, and about 16% came from Great Britain. Now it's key, most of the immigrants were European. Later on, we'll discuss maybe in a couple of slides from now, there will be a second wave of immigrants coming from different parts of Europe. Okay. So that was the first wave of immigration. The second wave of immigration, which occurs around 1891 to the 1900s, most of these immigrants are coming from the southern part of Europe, especially like nations like Italy. A lot of Italian immigrants will come to the United States and have a significant impact on the daily life and the culture of the United States. So not only did you have enough people willing to work in the factories, you had enough people willing to buy the products that this labor was producing. So it's very important to understand that the Second Industrial Revolution also occurred because there was an expanding market for industrial goods, meaning there was more people willing to buy the goods that were being produced in U.S. factories and production lines. The fourth cause of the Second Industrial Revolution was the fact that the United States had an availability of capital for investment. So a business owner needs money or capital in order to create the factories that produce the goods that people can buy. Okay, so in the United States by the 1900s, there were enough banks willing to provide loans to businessmen who wanted to create the factories that would produce the goods for the people and also would hire the immigrants to work in these factories. So this was very important. Okay, so the last reason that the United States experiences the Second Industrial Revolution is that it has a federal government that promoted industrial and agricultural developments. So you might be asking yourself, why are the capitalist Americans allowing the federal government to be interfering in the economy? Well, the simple answer to this complicated question is that most Americans understood that the government should be involved in very specific and very important instances, but it should not be involved in most of the economic decision making. So, for example, many factory owners in the United States did not want to compete with European goods. So, despite their ideas of laissez-faire, of non-government interference in the economy, many factory owners and businessmen supported the federal government's decision to pass tariffs to protect American-produced goods from European-produced goods or goods produced in any other country. Okay, in fact, the United States was one of the leading countries in creating tariffs. Another instance in which American businessmen accepted the federal government's involvement in the economy had to do with land. Now, the federal government owned lots of land within the United States. Sometimes the federal government would actually sell that land to American businessmen so that they can build railroads or a factory or anything that would stimulate the economy. Related to land issues, another problem that businessmen faced was that a lot of resource productive lands in the United States were controlled by Native American tribes. So these businessmen, these capitalists, were very happy when the US military was sent to relocate these tribes to less productive lands so that they could take the lands to build their railroads or their factories or their cities. So it's safe to say that American industrial capitalism did allow for some government involvement to happen when it benefited the businessmen. Now, when that government interference benefits the lower classes or the labor, this is when people get upset.